Yeah, welcome in. Welcome back to another episode of the Format Podcast. This one is going to be less formal, kind of off the cuff. Quick thoughts, reaction on the last game seven of the semifinals in the NBA playoffs. Boston Celtics beat the Philadelphia 76ers 112-88 total blowout. Really a disappointing game seven, not because I didn't want the Celtics to win. Obviously, I'm a Celtics fan, but disappointing because of the way it all went down. Real quick, you know what it is. Go ahead, click that subscribe, that like, that notification bell. If you want the audio only, go on your audio podcast platform, type in the Format Podcast, do a little search. We should come up. Make sure you share the pod, give us a 5-star review. Definitely appreciate it. So, yeah, like I said, just gonna go over some thoughts real quick, some stuff that's in my head. Jason Tatum, 51-point performance. Tremendous performance. We've seen these kind of performances out of him. I think he had the huge one, 41 or 42 against Giannis in Game 6 last year when the Celtics were on the ropes in the semifinals. So tonight, obviously, or earlier this afternoon, he's got the 51, which is coincidentally the new Game 7 NBA scoring record, 51 points. And it was just an incredible performance by him, 17 and 28, so super efficient. Also the 13 rebounds and the 5 assists. And he just, he went to work on those guys. And I'll tell you, it's so disappointing if you're Philadelphia. Just Embiid, 5 for 18, 8 rebounds and 15 points. Just a pathetic outing by a guy who's the MVP, by a guy who should be the most dominant player in the league, and at times has looked like it. When he wants to, he looks like it, but just horrible. James Harden, I didn't expect anything from him because he's a guy that simply doesn't show up on the biggest stages in the biggest games. 3 for 11, 1 from 5 from 3. 9 points, just another flop in a huge moment from James Harden. There's been the rumors that he may go back to Houston this offseason because he seems to care more about hanging out in the strip club and partying at night than he does being a truly great NBA player. And that's not to say you can't be great without winning a championship, because there are some all-timers, Dominique Wilkins, Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, to name a few, who never won a championship, but he doesn't seem to really care too much about winning a championship. So that's just my estimation from what I see in these huge games where he just kind of, disappears. Doc Rivers. Listen, I am happy as a Celtics fan that Doc Rivers has a championship and that he helped the Celtics get that championship in 2008 and then took them back to the finals in 2010 and got to a Game 7, had an opportunity to win there. And obviously the greatness of Kobe Bryant kind of took over, even though he didn't have a huge scoring night. I think he had like 15 rebounds that night. So, and real quick side note, he didn't shoot the ball well. I think Kobe was like 7 for 21 or something that night. But the 15 rebounds, the great ones find a way to impact the game and get it over the hump at the end of the day. But anyway, Doc Rivers, I'm going to be honest, if you've known me for a long time, I've never been a believer in Doc Rivers as a coach. Before Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen got to Boston, I was openly saying that, Doc Rivers should have been fired from the Celtics as the head coach. But, obviously those guys come and they save his job and they win a championship. And realistically, that championship was Tom Thibodeau and his defense, but that's another story anyway. But Doc Rivers has blown the most 3-2 leads in NBA history. He just, for whatever reason, there's always some reason that he doesn't get over the hump when his teams are good enough to do it. I don't think he's a very good coach. I think he should go. I mean, I don't know who's a better option, but Doc Rivers is just not the guy. And also, I look at Embiid, like I said, an absolutely pathetic, absolutely putrid, pathetic waste of a performance by a guy who's the MVP, who I believe is the best center in the game, but should have shown up today and shown out and dominated. And this Embiid, Doc Rivers thing to me real quick goes hand in hand, because if I'm Doc Rivers, every single possession Embiid is starting on the low block. I think Embiid, unfortunately, so many times offensively is lazy, because he sets up, and I don't know if that's the system Doc Rivers is running or if it's just him. Embiid bails the defense out way too often by just taking threes instead of going down on the block and punishing the opponent's bigs and getting them in foul trouble and scoring, because he's not a liability at the free throw line. So he's a guy that should be punishing the opponent's bigs. Every single possession, if I'm Doc Rivers, I'm saying if Embiid's in the game, The ball needs to attempt to go into him, but it needs to start with him on the block. He obviously doesn't need to shoot it every time, but it needs to get inside. You need to play inside out when you've got a dominant presence like that, but you allow him to be lazy and hang out and start possessions at the top of the three-point circle. Nah, that's the wrong answer. Go down there and put the opponent's bigs in foul trouble. Plain and simple. Like, I don't know. Embiid is too big, too strong, and has too much ability to play so lazy so often. And again, you're 5 for 18, 0 from 4 from just 0-4-4 from 3, 15 points in the closeout game, the game that, you know, will send you on to the conference finals. So now Embiid, you're an MVP and you deserved it, but you've still never been to a conference finals, furthermore, finals. There's no excuse for this when you should be the most unguardable player in today's NBA. I'm very happy, obviously, for the Celtics winning. Obviously, big time Celtics fan. I've said that, you know, ad nauseum on this podcast. But yeah, really disappointed for the Philadelphia 76ers just not showing up today. I mean, they kept the game close and then they let Jason Tatum completely blow it open. And I'm wondering, again, Doc Rivers, this is coaching. At what point are you going to trap this guy and get the ball out of his hands? He is killing you and you just continue to let him work your guys out. At what point are you going to trap and get the ball out of his hands? I don't know, man. Modern day coaching is just confounding to me. Obviously, I'm not a coach, but and some of the credit has to be given to Tatum for making tough shots. But again, you got to get the ball out of his hands. You got to send double teams from different places all over the floor. You got to trap this guy. But it is what it is. So the Celtics go on. So now you have the Celtics and the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. You have the Lakers and the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. And, you know, the league, again, would love to see, and I would love to see the Lakers and the Celtics. And, of course, you would have the great storyline there of LeBron going for his 5th title in the same season that he breaks the all-time scoring record. You have Jason Tatum, the young lion, trying to get his first title after, you know, coming up small in the NBA Finals last year. So I think that would be a great one. And also the added note that both teams are tied at 17 world championships. So if they were to play each other, you know, ultimate NBA supremacy would be on the line. So that would be another awesome storyline. But on the flip side, the top 3 vote getters for MVP this year were Embiid and Jokic and Giannis. But looks like Jokic, as of right now, gets the last laugh because both of those guys are at home and he's still playing with a chance to win it all. So yeah, this is very interesting. Totally disappointed in the way the Philadelphia 76ers played today. Super happy for the Boston Celtics. Jason Tatum did his thing, but we've seen him do it before. But now the question truly is, can he do it when the lights are the brightest? You know, Eric Spoelstra is an outstanding defensive coach. He's going to scheme it up to try to take Tatum away, and Jimmy Butler and Tatum, that's going to be a hell of a matchup. But let's see what happens here. Let's see who outcoaches who. Joe Mazzulla is an outstanding offensive coach. Eric Spoelstra is an outstanding defensive coach. Something's got to give, right? So definitely my eyes are going to be focused on the East. I will look from time to time out to the West, but I'll be focused on the East. Why? Because I'm an East Coast guy. But secondly, I'm a Boston Celtics fan. So let's see what we got. And yeah, leave your comments in the comments section. Can't wait to hear them. And I'll be back next time. And I'm out. Peace.